Hello, I'm Chris Crawford, and I have a couple of slip joint liners that I need to make sure are flat. They look fairly flat, but they're not totally flat, and so I want to show you my process that I use to flatten the liners. So we have our liners here. How do we know that these liners aren't flat? Well, there's a couple things we could do. We could put the liners together and hold them up to the light. I don't think you'll be able to see this on camera, but if we hold it up to the light, shine a light source through it, we'll be able to see that there is a slight gap between the two liners. So that's one way to tell. Another way to tell is to put the liners on a flat surface and see if they'll spin. So if we put it on here and it spins, then we know it's not flat. Now if we turn it over the other way, it doesn't spin. Well, what does that tell us? That tells us that the liner is warped this way, or it has a bow to it. Okay, so that's one we need to fix. And what about this other liner? Okay, that's not really spinning. Let's flip it over and see. All right, well, it spins there, so we know that this one is bowed, so it bows this way. So if we put the two together, now they don't go this way, but if we put the two together, we should see the biggest bow between them. I guess like this. Oh, they do go that way. Yeah, so we'd see the gap. Now that's one way to tell. Another way is a method that I actually picked up from Jay Nelson, but for a different reason. Jay was using a mirror on his fixed blades to check, to put up against the back of the knife to see if the tang was square to the blade. Well, that got me thinking that maybe I could use a mirror to help me tell whether or not liners are flat, because I used to take just some other type of metal piece and put on there and try to hold it up and look through there like that and see if they were flat. But I got to thinking, a mirror, two things about a mirror. One is a mirror is always flat. I mean, you can pretty much guarantee you if you look at your face and it don't look all crazy, then the mirror is flat. All right. So if I take the liner and I place it on the mirror, and this, you may not be able to see this on camera, but two things. One, I know I got a guaranteed flat surface to test it on, but two, if I turn it over, I should be able to see a slight bow. The nice thing about the mirror is because the image is doubled, it makes the bow twice the size as it is. And so again, I don't know if you pick that up on the camera, but like I can see, if I look up on this end, the double image, it looks like just a solid piece, but if I look at it in the middle, I can see a little black gap in there. And so this is one way that I test it. By the way, this mirror is just I think I paid about $3 for it from Harbor Freight. It came with a little frame and a clip. I think you clip it on somewhere in your car. I just took some JB weld and welded a can tab to the top so I can hang it on my wall and pull it down when I need it. Now, what I use to straighten my liners is this half-ton arbor press. Now, I'm not the first one to do this. I've seen people online doing it, but using one of these. But the first person that I saw use it was Alan Lishowitz when I was over at his shop. And so he used one of these. I think his was a little bigger. His may have been a full-ton arbor press, but nonetheless, he was using an arbor press to straighten his liners. And after getting online and reading some stuff, I found a modification in one of the forum posts, and I can't remember who posted it, but where they used some rod, some steel rod or steel bar to put on there to give something to put some pressure. So I'm not just using the flat square on the end right here and these flat edges. So when I started working on this, I was thinking, how am I going to attach the steel bar to the arbor press? Because I have a little stick welder, but I don't even know if it's powerful enough to do that, and I'm not a good welder and all that. And then I got to thinking, JB Weld, JB Weld's some really strong stuff, and for a long time, I used to use it on projects, but for a long time I didn't use it and hadn't really thought about it, but I thought JB Weld would be the perfect thing for this. And so basically what I did, I'm going to take this out to show it. On this plate, I just JB welded. I would have liked to have done it on all of these little cutouts, but didn't really have room. So I put 2 on the smallest cutout and I put 2 on the largest. Now, one thing that I also did, I'm trying to see if you can see it. You may not can see it too well, but took these round bars to the grinder and just flattened the bottom of them so that they wouldn't be trying to roll around, and so that I could put my JB Weld down and then just stick them straight down like that. And I did the same thing here at the top of, or the bottom of the press. And so you can probably see where I ground that off, but it made it nice and flat, and this is held really, really well. All right, so how do we use this? Well, I have the wide gap and I have the narrow gap. If I have in my liner a bow that's very drastic, and I need to put pressure between two places very specifically, I can use this narrow gap here. I want to get everything lined up. So I can put it on there like that and come down, and you do not have to put much pressure at all. I usually just tap it and then test it. But if I have more of a gentle bow, which is what I have in these liners, I can spin it around to the wider and get it lined up there, and I can use that. And so let me see which one of these has the worst bow, and that's the one we'll fix. All right, that one spins pretty good. Look at it in my mirror. You know, another thing you can do is if you put it upside down and you press down on one end, you can really see the gap. So if I press down that end, I can really see the gap. And so ideally, if the liner is flat, then you would see no gap when you press down. All right, so let me just go ahead and do both of them and see which one's got a bigger gap. Really looks like they're about the same. So I think I'm going to do this one. Okay, so my liner is bowing this way. So what I want to do is put it this way on the press. So I'm going to put it just like this. And I'm just going to give it just a little flex. I may move it a little. And I'm not giving it much at all, because it's very easy to over bend it, over form it. Okay, so now if I press down on that side, I'm not seeing any gap actually. Let's see if that's the right side. That wasn't the right side. So there you still see a little bit of a gap right there. I don't see much gap in the middle, but it's really more obvious when you press down on one end. All right, so let's do a little bit more. All right, it's coming out a little bit. I might need to put a little more pressure than I'm putting, but I don't want to put too much because I really don't want to overdo this thing. All right, I've gone to my smaller dies just for some finishing touches. And I think that's going to get it. So now if we compare the two, this is the liner we straightened. So if I flick it, try to spin a little and stops. And then here's the liner that we did not do. See the difference? So that's how I straighten the liners for my slip joints, using a modified arbor press and a cheap mirror.